Many thanks for choosing us. It is set to be a showdown this Thursday when Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta appears before Parliament to present the 2023 budget. The minister will be doing so while facing censure and also with 98 MPs from the NPP caucus threatening to boycott proceedings if he is the one to do the presentation. The minister spoke to our parliamentary correspondent Kwekwa Asante and said despite all these, he expects to be the one presenting the 2023 budget.
Finance Minister, how do you feel about this whole process? I mean, do you feel about this process? JoyNews Live.
I mean, I guess it's democracy in play, and we just seek fairness, and we are confident in how the process will evolve. So
next week, will you be presenting the budget? Will you do so yourself?
Yeah, I expect so. That seems to be a weird question.
What do you say to the NPP MPs who say they don't want you to do so next week?
I don't know. I haven't heard that officially, so I'll see. Anyway, but thank you. It's been a very long day. And
today, the group of 98 MPs are responding directly to the minister, insisting they are not backing down on their demand to have him sacked. Spokesperson for the group, MP for Asante North, Andy Apia Kobi, says the minister's response to their issues is unfortunate.
Well, hearing is not compulsory. I'll give him the benefit of decision whether or not he's heard. But we are also resolute in our approach, and well, if he hasn't heard, maybe in the course of time he will hear.
Andy Apia Kobi says the majority group have lost confidence in the minister, arguing the minister should have resigned long ago.
And for which reason, indeed, for me, I would have thought that the very day that President said we will go to IMF, that should have been the day he would have resigned if he left to me alone, because he had promised that we will never have to get there. And if indications are that we are going, then I think, to be honest with yourself and to be honest with the people of Ghana, you should have resigned. Because where is your credibility in going for the program? Because and leading it, indeed, you had come out to say that never would we go to IMF, and didn't only speak to Ghanaians. You spoke to the whole world, and indeed, IMF also heard you. So if it comes to a time that you have to lead the charge coming to the IMF, what will IMF think of you, and what will IMF think of our whole program? So we thought that you should have left the scene for somebody else to carry the mantle, go to IMF and say, my friend was wrong, now we are here, please deal with us. And you would have carried enough credibility talking to IMF then. So for me, at that point, if I was leading or part of the IMF team, I wouldn't have taken you seriously. So I think for that reason, to give Ghana a fair opportunity to interact or negotiate with IMF, I would have resigned if I was in his position.
If I may, I just want to put a couple of things to you and see if you agree or disagree. So, do you agree or disagree that the finance minister has engaged in conflict of interest, ensuring that he directly benefits from Ghana's economic woes as his companies receive commissions and other contractual advantage, particularly from Ghana's debt overhang?
My brother, that is along the prosecutorial tangent, and I'm not sure that we have considered that yet. But right. If it becomes necessary to so do, we will look at the indicators, the figures, and speak to same. So for now, we are not speaking to the conflict of interest situation as part of the package from the censure motion. We are not speaking to that.
Meanwhile, the minority in Parliament said the response of the finance minister before the censure committee was dishonest, claiming he failed to respond to the key issues raised by the minority in their motion.
First, let me say that I was disappointed listening to the minister because he did not answer the questions. He was dancing around the questions and not going to the specifics. For example, on the issue of the National Cathedral, it is obvious that an expenditure had happened. This is a national project, well advertised by the state, commissioned by His Excellency the President. Yet, the minister responsible for finance had the courage to appear before Parliament and say to us that they did not budget for it. That in itself is wrong in the first place. He informed Parliament that between 2018 to 2022, all the payment they've made came from the contingency votes. The contingency votes is there for unforeseen expenditures in the course of the year. The so-called government expenditure on the National Cathedral was anticipated. Even before the budget was read. What surprises me is that for 4 years in a row, it has always been an emergency payment. What sort of finance minister do we have? Who does that? Even in your small company, you will never do such a thing. If, for instance, the year one you pay as an emergency and you know that that expenditure will reoccur in the following year, why don't you take it out of contingency and pay it as part of a line item or budget for it appropriately? So for me, it reinforces the issue of dishonesty, trying to hide from Parliament and from the public that the state is paying for the National Cathedral.
But he told you the state was going to pay for part of the National Cathedral.
Yet no one, he kept it away from Parliament. But let me tell you, the power of the purse is not with the executive, it is with power, it's with the Parliament.
Kasialato forcing his minority spokesperson on finance. Well, the finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, will soon know his fate when the special committee set up by Parliament to consider the minority censure motion presents their report to the House for a vote to be taken. The committee heard from the proponents of the motion, PIAC and GNPC, and the minister himself. But with long hours of sitting and grueling and fiery clashes, there was still time for some casual jokes. Parliamentary correspondent Kwekwa Asante looks at some of those moments in the special report.
Times are hard. Even Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, who is blamed for the current economic crisis, admits to this, with the parliamentary process seeking to remove him underway. The special committee set up by the Speaker has been hearing from witnesses. With such a serious business that could end the political career of the minister, there has still been moments of jokes and laughter with co-chair of the committee, Adansi Asokwa MP K.T. Hammond, the center of most of such encounters. The minority leader had claimed the NDC's numbers in parliament were not being respected. This is what K.T. Hammond had to say in response.
We are here because of the numbers that he said we are not respected. If we had the proper numbers, you think we'll be sitting here, I'll be sweating like this. So what do you mean by we don't respect your numbers?
You will recall the contentious matter of haircuts or no haircuts as Ghana seeks to restructure its debts. Listen to this banter where K.T. Hammond says he doesn't need a haircut because God is his barber.
I'm not sure the president was advised properly to have been categorical that there will be no haircut. Has there been a haircut? Whatever that means. If there is tomorrow, my God is my barber. Nobody's cutting my hair. You have no hair for a cut. So which one is that? Yours, you fit as guy and pay something.
But between the two co-chairs of the committee, K.T. Hammond and Dominic Ayine, who has been at the bar for a longer period.
Well, yes, co-chair. Yeah, co-senior chair.
Okay, well, you are my senior in parliament, but you are my junior at the bar.
Also. When were you called to the bar?
I was called to the bar in October 1995.
And you call yourself a senior? I was called to the Bar of England and Wales in November 1991.
Well, an English lawyer has no license to practice in Ghana.
Listen to him. I was exempted from the whatever bar here and granted my exemption to practice at the Bar of Ghana. What are you talking about?
When were you called to the Bar of Ghana?
And even that, he said 1991, 1996?
1995.
Well, you said 1995. I was granted exemptions in Ghana in 1997. You don't take me for a baby. 1991, where was he?
So you are 2 years my junior.
You are out of order. Completely out of order.
K.T. Hammond also wants Dr. Kasialato Forsen to shut up when he is speaking.
Because you keep interjecting me.
Since when did you become kind of anxious about me?
I know because you are.
Yeah, so uncle talks, you shut up, isn't it? Yeah.
Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu also had a proverb for the committee.
You know, this morning when I arrived, Chairman, I shared a proverb with you and Honorable Anyimedu. I said, if you are pounding fufu for a blind man, the best way to assure the blind man that you are not eating the fufu is to be whistling. You have to be whistling as you are pounding. Is the city crash or not crash? We have done our whistling.
As the committee ended its work and co-chair Katie Hammond introduced guests, he refused to introduce one notable minister.
I expect the committee to take parliamentary notice of my name and constituency. Master, of course.
Even with these light moments, the country awaits the verdict of Parliament on the embattled Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, who is blamed for the sorry state of the economy.
And then, Finance Minister, you remember when you started owing certain words, I told you that don't do it because the cataclysm is mine, and then the apocalyptic is Mr. Apocalyptic. He's here. So he's here. So I think yours is the ecospace, isn't it? Ecosystem. You can own your ecosystem.
From Parliament, November 21 is World Fisheries Day, a day celebrated every year throughout the world by fishing communities. A recent United Nations study reported that more than 2/3 of the world's fisheries have been overfished or are fully harvested, and are more than 1/3 in a state of decline because of factors such as the loss of essential fish habitats, pollution, and global warming. The World Fisheries Day helps in highlighting the critical importance to human lives of water and the lives it sustains both in and out of water. One of the challenges confronting fisheries in Ghana is cycle. My colleague Richard Kwejanyako has been studying the practice and has come through with this report.
The ocean has been in crisis in recent times.
In fact,
Overfishing and illegal fishing are said to be fueling the collapse of the marine ecosystems in Ghana. According to the UN Food and Agriculture Organization, over 90% of global fish populations are fished at or beyond sustainable levels. This has become a critical food security issue for the millions who live in Ghana, particularly the nearly 4 million people whose livelihoods depend on the sea. But the industrial vessels from the developed states have been catching the fish that local, small-scale fishers have depended on for generations. And now the stocks are facing collapse. Following JoyNews' documentary titled Cycle, When the Last Fish is Caught, the Ministry of Fisheries and Aquaculture Development, headed by Mavis Hawakumson, announced a ban on the activities of Cycle.
When I took office, barely a month, then we were slapped with yellow card. And so I called the EU ambassador from Ghana, and ambassador said, my sister, what is happening? How can I be slapped with such a punishment when I just took office barely a month ago? And he said, sister, calm down. It's something that was there before you came, but you are to bear the cross. So let's see. So we started working, and I had to move from Ghana to EU with the president to go and talk to them. So I realized I cannot always be begging the European Union to be, easing our sanctions and other things. And so we have to do the right thing. So I came to the fisher folks to tell them, now please, this is the situation that we are into. And so I will need your support. They also are. And by God's grace, we are moving. But when we were to do the close season, we met with them with the artisanal people. So the artisanal people made mention of their issue that they have been doing transshipments and other things. It isn't all of them that can have the money to go on the sea to do the transshipment. So we realized that it wasn't helping. So what do? Then they promised me that, oh, madam, since we have agreed to observe the closed season, we bet you when the season is open, we will stop with the cycle. That's the transshipment. And I thought it was a joke. They gave me this promise at the Volta region, Qatar, where we did close the sea. And truly, since we opened the sea, as we sit today, I have not had any complaint. Not even from the artisanal people that there has been any transshipment.
Cycle is a type of a job or a work that helps a lot, and the cycle is the byproduct or the bycatch of the industrial vessels, which will be thrown into the sea. That's we collected it as they regard it waste, and we collect this for our livelihood and make a lot of people employment. It's a chain work. We brought this bycatch from Marie. It's not frozen, just fresh, but the moment we brought it at ashore, it gets to rot. So we peel today those who throw it away, the vessel owners, then they start freezing it to us. And this have created a lot of employment, rather throwing it into the sea as waste or to pollute the sea. That's why it has created, we have brought it, and it has created a lot of job. And cycle is not purposely for Elmines, it's for the whole Ghana.
On News Desk Monday, the National Convener for Fisheries Alliance Ghana, Che Kwajo Yamua, says the state of fishing in Ghana is not in a good one and wants authorities to improve measures to protect the country's marine stock.
The day that we rehash the importance of fisheries, we discuss the challenges, and then we all collectively look at what are the solutions. But the most concern is that the level of juvenile fishes that are harvested as part of, in quote, the bigger cycle discussion, and also the juvenile fishes that are harvested and there's small pelagic fisheries that are harvested by the trawlers, which should be available for the multitude of fishermen and us as a nation, because that is what we depend on. We call it the people's fish. That has been the discussion on how we can strengthen measures to address it. We are very happy that the gear directive has come to ensure that trawlers do sort of a modification of their gears or review certain construction diameters to ensure that their gears reduces the volume of juvenile fish and the volume of small pelagic fish that they use to harvest. And when this gear directive is fully implemented, we would now know how these new gears are responding, whether they are really reducing the volumes of juvenile fish harvested and small pelagic harvested and making them now available for our local fishers. So this is yet to be fully implemented. So we hope that once they are implemented, we can see the results as we want them to be.
Talks between government and organized labor over public sector pay is in limbo. Labor unions say they want at least 60% increase in their base pay, with talks last Friday ending inconclusively. Kwekwa Asante has more in the following report.
This crucial meeting over salary increase ended in a stalemate, with organized labor unwilling to go back on their demands. A furious Deputy Secretary General of the Trades Unions Congress, Joshua Ansah, said life had become unbearable for many workers.
If they really mean to read the budget, then they should be serious with these negotiations. I'm upset. We are not happy about the way things are going. We are not happy at all, and Ghanaian workers are suffering. You are all workers, we are all suffering. Look at what the living standard is at today.
Executive Secretary of the Civil and Local Government Staff Association, Isaac Bampuado, told journalists government was considering their proposal.
We went through the proposal that we had presented to government, It looks like there's no mandate from government, so we have asked the meeting to be adjourned for government to come back with a proper mandate.
Meanwhile, Deputy Employment and Labour Relations Minister Bright Rekubrobe says government couldn't reach any consensus with organised labour, hence the decision to adjourn the meeting to today. With the 2023 budget set to be read this week, a decision must be taken in time to be factored in the appropriation, which will be passed by Parliament. The question, though, is if government can afford labour unions' demands in this current harsh economic climate. Kweku Asante, JoyNews.
General Secretary of the Ghana National Association of Teachers, Nat Thomas Musa, has been responding to this. He explained that they are yet to receive invitation to any meeting. He spoke on News Desk.
We have done our analysis. You see, this is not like the normal negotiations we normally do. No. There has been certain wrongs that have been done in the past. The wrong number one is that there is a gap of 3% that should be covered, which has not been covered. And that thing has been there for 12 good years, going to 13 years, of which workers have suffered for it. And so if workers have suffered for that for 12 years, government will say no money, bear with us. And we have been patient for 12 good years. Aside that particular one, I've given you the wage differential between the the minimum wage and then the base pay. Along the line, government came again saying that, not bridging the gap, government came again saying that, look, I don't have resources. Can I pay you COLA in 2014? We agreed. We agreed to that particular one in 2014 because we believe that we need to help Ghana to get all these things resolved. And then the following year, 2015, before we say that the increment that came was 30%, meaning that technically speaking, it was that 3% that government gave us, because if you take the 10% out of the 30%, you're left with 3%. So that was 3% that we were giving. Bearing in mind that there was no movement or there was no increment on the base pay in the year 2014. And so this time around, we said, look, we cannot allow this kind of wrongs to continue. Otherwise, a day is coming, it will have serious and terrible effect on the worker, particularly when the worker is going on retirement.
Give us variety. That's the call this afternoon from patrons of government's PFJ market as it makes a stop at Circle or Brasport. The market, which has been running for nearly 2 weeks, has been dominated by plantain and rice, but patrons want cocoyam, cassava, among other foodstuff, to be introduced as well. Michael Papani-Ashale has more.
This will actually be the first time government's PFJ market is coming to Cycle and its environs. Currently, we are at the Brasport, where individuals are coming here now in their numbers. The news is just getting out that the market is not ready to sell. And so many people are here in a frenzy, bargaining to get a good price of what ordinarily they also will be getting on the market. Let me paint a very good picture of what exactly is happening now before we talk to some of the patrons here. So this is a vehicle that just came here. You can see that they are loading the entire vehicle. It tells you probably how good the price it is and how much they are getting it. Probably it's a good price. So the entire vehicle is only the driver's seat and one passenger seat that has been left here. The entire vehicle is now full of bunches of plantain, all from government's PFJ market here. So please, whose items are those? How much did all of that cost you?
Almost 500 cedis.
500 Ghana cedis. But why did you buy so much?
We use it for a restaurant.
I see.
Yes.
But is it just for you?
No, it's for a corporate business.
It's a corporate business. What are you going to use it for?
It's for a restaurant.
A restaurant?
Yes.
Why do you find it prudent to come and buy from this particular market, not the regular market?
This is an opportunity for you to grab, so you just have to be here and just have it for yourself.
Quickly, would you say it's cheaper here or it's more expensive here?
Okay, so to speak the truth, it's cheaper. Very cheaper.
If you compare the price, what are you talking about? How cheap is it?
Much cheaper. Yeah.
Listen, what's your name?
Felix.
Special advisor to the Agric Minister, George Odro, says government is working to add more food items to its basket.
Yeah, I'm asking you, how long you been following this?
I've been following it since the day it started.
I see.
Yeah, I've been part of it, so I've been following every day.
So major concern for many people. But before that, let me ask you, what's your relation to the ministry that is in charge of this?
Oh, I used to be the former deputy minister.
Okay.
I'm now the advisor to the agric minister.
Okay, so as advisor, I've heard from many people who are asking that why just plantain? It doesn't take just plantain to eat. So where are the other produce that you promised?
No, it's not only plantain. When we started, we've done plantain, yam, oil, rice, kokonte, and tuzafi, and you keep on adding. So it's not only plantain.
So for today, when can they expect the other ones that you promised?
Today we are doing rice, oil, kokonte, tuzafi, and coconut oil at the ministry, not at this location.
Okay.
Here it's only plantain, but at the ministry we are doing what I just told you.
Economic hardship taking a toll on offerings. That's according to John Dramani and Mahama, who has asserted that the current economic hardship in Ghana has taken a toll on offerings to God. According to him, followers of Christ are unable to give huge offerings due to economic hardship, which has affected the pockets of Ghanaians. He therefore entreats Christians to pray for him and NDC to win the 2024 general elections to rescue Ghana from hardship. He was speaking at the 175th anniversary Thanksgiving service of the Evangelical Presbyterian Church, Ghana in Ho.
It was an electrifying experience at the Ho Jubilee Park, where members of the Evangelical Presbyterian Church Ghana from across the world converged for the 175th anniversary Thanksgiving service. They danced to the glory of the Lord for how far he had brought the faith organization, which has over 1,000 branches, established over 1,000 schools, 8 health institutions, among others. In a sermon, the moderator of the General Assembly of the EP Church Ghana, Right Reverend Dr. Lieutenant Colonel Bliss Agbeko, retired, advised Christians to remain righteous followers of Christ and persevere to the very end.
Anyone called into leadership at any phase that I've mentioned, if there is anything to desire or to practice, is righteousness. Beloved in Christ, be famous for righteousness. Be hated for righteousness. Be loved for righteousness. Be known for righteousness. Be the symbol and presence of righteousness. Don't be a fraudster. Don't use the name of Jesus or the name of God to rob people. Don't be a thief in the house of God. Don't practice corruption of any form. Be righteous.
Former President John Dramani Mahama, who was a guest of honor, acknowledged the church's role in the development of the country. He implored the church to pray for the NDC to win power to rescue the country from the current economic hardships.
We must always spread Christian love, especially in this time when money doesn't like noise. I mean, we could tell the hardship in the system from the appeal for funds. When it was 2,000, Madam Chair Amedza and a few people came and donated. Then it came down to 1,000, then to 500, then 200, 200 and 100. And then when it got to the silver collection, 1 CD, 2 CDs, the place was full.
Inclusion for every child. That's the theme for this year's International Children's Day, which was marked yesterday, November 20. Here in Ghana, some children have been sharing their thoughts on what matters to them most as children and what must be done to enable them realize their dreams. Let's hear them in the following piece.
It's a good platform for children to express themselves and also tell what is in their mind. Children should be allowed to explore all around them so that at least they'll be able to know what goes around them all the children who are being bullied, the bullying has to stop. Because if it's a World Children's Day, children are supposed to feel happy. But if children are not feeling happy whilst it's World Children's Day, why is it World Children's Day?
Have you been bullied before?
Yes.
By who? A teacher, a student, who?
Jones.
Let's talk more about children, and joining me for this conversation is Executive Director of the International Child Development Program, Joyce Lanyo. Good afternoon, Joyce. I'm grateful that you joined us.
Good afternoon.
To what extent do you think children have been included in national discourse and development agenda?
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I must say that children have not been included in most of our plans to get them the interventions needed. If you talk about the SDGs, everything about the SDG concerns children as well, but they do not have a voice. The guy who just spoke talked about sharing their thoughts. So whatever it is, in terms of interventions, programs, children should be the center of these programs so that they will articulate their concerns and then get whoever is running the program, do whatever the children are talking about. So in other words, I'm talking about the demand-driven approach to interventions concerning children.
So what would be your most concern, in addressing the issues that would improve the lot of children in Ghana?
Yeah, I must say that our NCC should take up the awareness creation component, including development partners, civil societies, to actually run programs that are right-based for children, so that children know their rights, they know what is going for them, and then they demand that whatever intervention or whatever abuse, whatever it is that is going around them, they know their rights, so they can speak against people who might be abusing them. If it's about the right to go to school, the free, compulsory, universal basic education, a right, they must demand it from their parents that, why are you keeping me in the house when I'm supposed to go to school? If it is about gender-based violence, they know their rights. They will demand abusers, people abusing them, that, look, it's against the law to do this. So we are advocating that there should be an awareness creation and sensitization for all children to know their rights so that they will demand for whatever it is that is going on around them.
I'm grateful for your time. Joyce Lanyo is Executive Director of the Child's Development Program. We'll take a break on JoyNews today. When we return, we have the very latest coming from the world of business.
Hi, welcome to Business. My name is Daryl Kwao. Players in the hospitality industry are lamenting the difficulty in keeping graduates from tertiary institutions. They say many products from the hospitality training institutions refuse non-managerial positions are not suitable for available jobs. The trend, they say, is difficult and costly to manage and is affecting customer patronage. The Ghana Hotels Association Ashanti branch is currently reviewing policies to provide career growth opportunities and a healthy working environment for staff in the industry. There's more in this report.
The Tourism Federation says the cost of finding, hiring and training new staff is affecting the industry. Regional Chairman of the Federation, David Onyina, says the lack of the sector-specific skilled workers is affecting customers. He says the Ghana Hotel Association is liaising with academia to bridge the gap. He was speaking at a 2-day workshop to review advocacy strategies and action plans for the industry.
We would like to liaise with the institutions, the universities and the polytechnics, and so that they will produce the
requisites or the materials that we want. Therefore, when they come, we don't have to train them. It's as a result of training them, which some of the hotels saying that, why should I invest in a person who will leave? But when they are already trained, when they come, we give them a small orientation, they will remain in the industry. And we are also going to ensure that the tourism players motivate and then good remuneration to these workers.
Academia has been faulted for producing half-baked graduates for the hospitality sector, but lack of infrastructure in hospitality-related tertiary institutions has been identified as a barrier preventing lecturers from imbibing the requisite skills in students. Lecturer Avia Kentenapia Minka University of Skills Training and Entrepreneurial Development, Nafisa Salam, says this accounts for the poor work attitude of some graduates.
But you know, we have others who are not serious. And then because we don't have, the facilities has been the same since time immemorial. You see, the facility was built with maybe a number of students in mind, like 10, 50, 40. But looking at the number of students we have now, when you even go to the practical room, some hide behind others, and they don't do anything. So when such people go out into the industry, it becomes a problem. They are not able to do anything. So the industry players rather called us, having misunderstanding with us for not teaching the students what is expected of them.
The two-day workshop is an initiative of the Pathway for Sustainable Employment for Women and Youth. Organized in collaboration with the Ghana Hotels Association, it is aimed at improving working conditions for people and employers in the tourism value chain.
Now, civil society organization Send Ghana is calling on government to introduce innovative measures to raise revenue for the 2023 budget. Key amongst them is the introduction of a sugar beverage tax on imported sugar products, which sometimes adversely affects the health of consumers. According to Send Ghana, these products contribute to pressure on health facilities and the need to raise revenue to support government. As Deputy Country Director for Send Ghana, Dr. Emmanuel Aisha.
Another thing in terms of revenue generation that we think should be looked at is sugar-sweetened beverages tax, that people think that it's important to introduce it. One key important factor is that it's going to adversely have very good, not adverse per se, but going to have very good impact as far as our public health is concerned. Because sugar-sweetened beverages are things that goes to affect increased diabetes, obesity, and whatnot. When that happens, it increases the cost of households to healthcare expenditure. It increases also our country's expenditure on healthcare. In the same vein, it also helps them to generate some revenue for the country. The arguments that when you flap it, there are a lot of taxes and it's regressive and whatnot. But the research out there in South Africa, in Mexico, in Spain, and about 40 countries that have actually implemented sugar-sweetened beverage tax shows that it is not as regressive as we people argue to be. It also shows that it increases revenue for the country. So that is one thing that we think government should be looking at in terms of revenue.
Well, there's more business news coming up at the top of the hour on the Marketplace. Up next, sports. Stay tuned.
Good afternoon, welcome to Sports here on JoyNews today with me, Muftao Nabila Abla. Qatar became the first host nation to lose the opening game of a World Cup as Ecuador kicked off the tournament with a dominant 2-0 victory thanks to Ener Valencia's double. Joy Prime's pundit for our coverage of the tournament, Christopher Nimley, believes the Qataris will struggle in the competition as they do not have the quality to compete.
One would have expected something better. And for me, I want to pity the coach because you did. I did say earlier on before the game started that if you want to, if you've gone in for a typical Catalan, somebody who believes in possessive football and dominating the round object, you need to have quality players to enable you to do so. So I was wondering whether they've got the quality to play the Spanish way, and it is clear from what we've seen they come nowhere close to what a typical Spanish team would do. And that, in my view, will be their downfall, and they will struggle throughout the tournament. I think it will come down to the quality they don't have as compared to the other two teams. Because look, a Senegalese team made up of the likes of Koulibaly, Sarr, Idrissa Gana Gueye, and those guys. They are playing for top teams in Europe. Okay, and if you go to the Dutch national team, there's Van Dijk, there's Van de Jong. Mention Memphis Depay. These are all world-class players, and they would have looked at this game today and clearly told themselves that, look, if this is the sort of opposition these guys are bringing,
Former Ghana defender Anthony Bafo says he is confident Black Stars coach Otto Addo would do a good job in this month's World Cup. Ghana will play Portugal on Thursday, and Bafo wants the technical team to put the right measures in place for the team to succeed.
First of all, when you go to a World Cup, and I had the pleasure in 2006 to be part of the delegation, and saw also what happened behind the scenes. So it is very, very important to be well prepared. Apart from technical and tactical skills, you need also managerial skills, because this is the first time Otto will be with the team for 3 to 4 weeks.
Yes.
So you will have different moods in camp. You see, every player has a different character. You have a captain with Dede and Thomas Partey, who are the leaders together with all those who have experience. Exactly, Jordan, Baba has been there for quite a while. And it's important to have a good atmosphere, a good ambience, a good team spirit that can take you places. Believe me, it's very important. The FA, they're already in Qatar. And this is very important. We go where they're ahead. They have been going 3, 4, 5 times. This is a World Cup. You can't leave anything to chance. Bonuses should be paid if they're owning the players. The environment within camp, you have to make sure that everything is tip-top. His technical team, the way they're working together, it's important that they're united, because it's not going to be easy in terms of media landscape. You know, Ghana is a football nation.
In the next 6 minutes, the game between England and Iran will get underway at the Al Khalifa International Stadium. And Jordan Pickford, he's in post. There's also a place for the likes of Mason Mount and Bukayo Saka. They are all starting. And Harry Maguire, they're all in the starting lineup of England as they start their World Cup campaign. In the last edition, they made it to the semi-final. They will be seeking to do so once again and probably win the competition for the first time since they did it in the 1960s. We appreciate your time with us here on JoyNews today with me, Muftau Nabila Abla. You can head out to my joyonline.com and read some more sports stories.
A cockerel is a sound made by a cockerel when it crows, especially just before daybreak. The only thing is, this particular one you heard was not made by a real cockerel. It was made by a 26-year-old man one Sunday. His real name, Emmanuel Crayson. He's been mimicking animals since he was 6 years old and has done so for the last 20 years. He started accompanying his father, who is a hunter, to go hunting in the bush and will invite the prey through sounds. Listen to one, Sonny.
What's your name?
My name is Emmanuel Crayson. The name that they used to call me on stage is one son.
Why did they call you that?
One son is the time I was 6 years. Then I know that I can do this thing. So every day I dey follow my father to bush to catch animals. So if we wanted to catch cow, if I do the cow sound, if the cow
no dey there. What's inside the bush where you catch?
Like Oyata.
Oyata be what? So if you do that, then the Oriata will come out there.
If the animal hear the sound, he got things his brother need help. So if he come there, we shoot them.
So if he catch like grass cutter too. Grass cutter. So what do they do for grass cutter? Okay, snake. Antelope.
Antelope.
Okay, talk.
Antelope is a brother be the tree name be one sign.
And on that one sunny note, we wrap up the bulletin. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Log on to myjoyonline.com. There's more of the news there. Do enjoy the rest of our programs.